you.
You got your inspiration for your work in this?
I think from the script, and the story, and learning about Neil and Janet and the Armstrong family, there was so much there, and there was so much I didn't know. I knew the very end of the story, just the part that everybody knows, that he got to the moon, but I didn't know about the losses and the heartbreaks that the family faced along the way, and so I read the script, and I was very moved by it, the Josh Singer script, and then started talking to Damien about it. Wanted to know what he wanted to feel from it, and that's where it starts. It's reading the script and then talking to Damien and hearing what he wants to feel from the music and what the movie needs, what emotions need to come from the music, and that's where I start.
Hey Justin, congratulations on the best score of the year. Over here.
Oh, hey Harry.
Hey. So, anybody tell you you're crazy to use a theremin for a romantic score, and tell you that you can't put a waltz like from 2001 or La La Land into First Man?
Oh yes.
That's not the pushback you got.
Well, it was a long process of refining, and the first, it's a very iterative process, what we do with what Damien and I do, and the whole post department with Tom Cross cutting the movie, and we do screenings every single week, at least one screening a week for months, and we invite friends and family. The studio sees it. There we do it for larger audiences, and every single time we learn something. So yeah, the early versions of theremin in this movie, the theremin was, it was a lot more, it was a lot brighter and more, it was a lot more harsher in a lot of places. And we learned, we have to mellow it out and give it these really almost voice-like qualities. So that took, many screenings and trials to figure out, let's have it sit down in a really good place and have it really sort of mellow and human sounding. So, and then there were also just a lot of learning to keep the theremin kind of contained for most of the movie. Theremin is in almost every cue, but it's very much buried in the orchestra until the Apollo 11 mission, and it starts coming to the forefront. It starts really singing, and it becomes kind of the almost Neil's innermost pain and the emotions that he's been very stoically bottling away this whole time. He's kind of, the way I saw it, he's kind of like splitting open, and now his emotions are pouring out. So the theremin could kind of come to the front and could really sing and could really be lyrical. And we learned that it's best to actually keep the theremin really sort of hidden for most of the movie and wait for that moment so that it really means something. And so it's throughout all these months of the editorial process and my process with Damien, where we learn these things. But yeah, when we started, the theremin was not being used the right way, and then months later, it hopefully was being used the right way.
Jeannie Wolf, congratulations.
Thank you.
You took on a lot of responsibility to portray not only his emotion and his building emotion, but suspense, even though we kind of know there's a happy ending. Did the sound effects help you? Did the rocket sound effects, how much did that play into it?
I'd say the sound effects were, we do this thing, we've done this thing the last couple movies where we're kind of all together for post. So I had an office next to the editing room, and Eiling Lee, the sound designer, had an office down the hall, so we could see each other's work, and we could be aware of what. So I saw some of the sound design getting done, and she saw my music getting done, and we were aware of like what spaces they were filling so that they wouldn't be in conflict as much. Something like the Apollo 11 launch, that's an example where music could be fighting sound, and they could be stepping on each other, and then you have to sort of have those battles at the dub, at the mix, and you're like, I want the music to be more, no, I want the sound, and you're fighting it out. But because we'd been together for so many months, I knew what frequencies she was using in the sound, and I tried to stay out of some of those, and I tried to just be aware of like bass lines that cut through, and so doing it all together and seeing each other's work, that's really helpful. In terms of adding tension, yeah, that's just it was really fun kind of reinventing the themes for the last act of the movie, because the themes were conceived to be very, like I've been talking about, emotional themes, but putting a spin on them where they could be really driving, like the landing cue where it just has a relentlessness to it. It was fun figuring out, okay, how do we take that melody, which has meant so much, like it already means so much because it's represented Karen, their daughter, and it's represented Neil's heartbreak and all this. It's so loaded already. Okay, how do we add a drive to it, add a percussion and a sort of strings, add a drive to it, but still have it be have its emotional content in it as well. So it was fun. It was fun figuring out how to put that together.
Did the actors see the version? At which point did the actors see the version with music in it? Had it inspire them too?
The actors, I don't know when they screened the movie. I know that Damien had the music on set with him, at least the mock-ups that we had done, and he played some of it for Ryan at different points. There were Damien references some of the set piece music. Damien references that, I think, for his own filmmaking, and he makes animatics to it. But in terms of what he played for Ryan, I know there were a couple of points, and I didn't know he was going to do this because I was just making demos. I was just trying to figure out the themes, figuring out the orchestration and the electronic ideas. So I was just sending him demos, and he told me one day I put it in Ryan's in his earpiece while he was doing a scene, because I think there was a scene where Ryan had to look out like a portal of the craft, and he wanted to be sort of his mind somewhere else, at home probably, and Damien told me that he actually had played the theremin theme for Ryan in his ear while he was doing that, or maybe it was right before the take, just to kind of like set a mood. So I didn't know that was going to be part of what they were doing, but he ended up doing that a little bit on set. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going reverse.
Oh, is it? Oh, this way.